record. So today we'll talk about class and objects. Okay, so what is class and what is object? Now, in order to be known as a Python programmer, you need to know till this topic. So hopefully, okay, if not tomorrow, but next Saturday, we'll be able to wrap up class and objects. So this is where, this is the minimum requirement. This is minimum thing that you should know as a Python developer. And most of the programs that we have learned so far, you can think of learning them as bits and pieces. Okay. Class and objects is putting everything that we have learned till now into one single package. Okay. So what is class? Now, we've been seeing from day one that most of all the data types that we have seen, they are called class, right? So it says int class, right? It said str class. So what does class mean? Now, in a basic understanding, class is simply collection of your different functions and variables. Okay, simply it is collection of variables and functions. So we have seen variables, we have seen functions. So just putting them together under one name is called class. But what is the significance of the classes? Classes will is a collection, as I said, of functions and variables which are related, right? Now, when I say related, it means they work together to help us achieve a certain task. So, for example, okay, if I say apple, right? Now, when I say apple, so think of apple as a class. Now, there are some properties that you will automatically know, right? Since we already know what Apple is, right? So automatically there are some values, there are some variables and some functions. Some variables could be like color of apple, shape of apple. These are variables. Okay. Then if I ask you properties, so making fruit salad, okay, eating apple, eating. So these are properties that we associate, okay, we associate with apple, right? So the moment I say apple, I don't have to describe you everything. It is known that, oh, these are the things which are related to apple. If I say that I'm playing cricket with apple, you will not associate playing cricket with apple. So that property is outside the scope. Similarly, when I say string as a class, so you know that string, you can have len function. Len is not string function. Len is a global function. You have append, not append. What are the functions of string? So we have seen count, right? We have seen start with, ends with. We have seen upper, lower. So these are functions that you associate with string. If I say append, you don't associate append function with string. So there's a clear-cut meaning. Just like in real life, when I say I'm holding a pen, you will not ask me what is pen, because you know what pen is. Something exact same concept. Okay, so real life concept is being introduced or being used in programming in the form of class and object. So first you define what is pen, right? First time you would have heard about pen, and then somebody would have told you what pen is. Okay, somebody would have told you what apple is. A for apple, you learn in first thing that we learn in the school is A for apple, right? So somebody teaches you what apple is. Once you know what it is, then you can use it anywhere, anytime, right? So two things here again. First, you have to define a class. You cannot, okay, if you have not heard what apple is, then you will not be able to visualize what I'm talking about if I talk about using apple. If I say I'm eating apple, okay, you will not be surprised because you all know what apple is. But if you have not known about apple, you would ask me what it is, right? So there is a definition, okay? So you define it, and now this is very much like your function. You define a class, correct? And then use it wherever you want to. But it is more complex in nature than a function because it has multiple features. We have used functions so far. We have used the function, but now we will learn to create, sorry, of course we have used function, but what I mean to say was we have used classes so far. We have used classes so far. Everything, integer, float, string, as I said, is all class. So we know how to use it. It's like we know how to, use Apple. But now we will learn to create a class. Now, when you use it, okay, we use it like an object. So there's a difference between class and object. Okay, so object is usable form of a class, right? So for example, just by knowing what A for apple, okay, just by knowing what is apple, you cannot eat it. You cannot, you know, put it in your fruit salad, right? Because knowing is one thing and using is another thing. You know about a lot of things. So knowing is called class. Knowing about something that when you define as a class. But when you use it, you use like an object. Now, for example, okay, why do we have to do it? These things, have different keyword is because class definition is only once, right? So knowing what apple is only one time process. Once you know what apple is, don't you have to know what apple is again and again. But you can eat 10 apples in a day. You can eat apple every day, right? So if you're eating apple, it can't be class, right? Class, when you eat it, it's done, right? No. So class is defined only once and you create an object. So object is usable form of a class. Just by knowing what apple is doesn't mean that you can experience what apple is. To experience, you have to create a fruit apple. You have to buy from a market, right? To know what apple is. So object is like creating the usable form of the class. Just by knowing what apple is, you cannot use apple. Similarly, just by creating class, you can't use it. But you can eat multiple different types of or different number of apples. So similarly, you can create multiple objects of class. Okay. So with that concept, okay, class has been designed that you design once and you use it wherever you want to use it. Okay. So for example, in this case, okay, I'm going to create one class. I'm going to define a class, right? I'm going to define what class is, and then I will show you how to create an object. Okay, we have been creating objects so far. Just that I have not told you that what we are doing is creating an object. So now we will focus on creating an object, which you know already. So to create class, we have to write class keyword. To create a function, you write function. Define, right? Def is to create a function. Class is the keyword, okay, that you have to write to create class. So when I say class, then it expects me to write the class name. So let's say I write a class name called book. So class book, done. This is your class. Inside this, I can have a variable called as total books. Okay, and I set it to 0. This is a simple class. Okay, this is a simple class with one variable which is called as total books. Okay, now how do I create an object? To create an object, I will put the object name. This one you have used it before. When I say B1 equal to hello, that means B1 is object of class str. When you say B1 equal to hello, that means B1 is an object of class string. And then you say B1 dot, okay, lower, or it's already lower. So we'll put it upper. So first we are saying equal to create an object. And then we are saying dot and calling that member of the class, right? So if I say print B1 of upper, okay? Now when I run it, so you get hello, right? Similarly, if I have to create an object of book class, I will have to create a variable. I'll say book1 equal to, okay, you say book. Okay, so you say book, but only difference here is that you have to put bracket, right? So, okay, so now book1 is an object of, so if I say print type of book1, type of book1, and you run it, see, it says class. So it was class, right? For even for this, if I say here type of B1, okay. So it says class, so class. Now here it is str, right? Here it says book, but it as underscore underscore main underscore. So remember, in the last session we discussed about what main is. Main means this class is defined in the same file, isn't it? So whichever file you are calling, when if I right click on this and I say run, okay, run this, that means I'm running this file, and this file will become main. So it says that book is part of your this file, main.book, right? So I created an object of class book, right? B1 is object of class str. So book1 is member of or object of, not member of, object of class book, right? Now, if I need to print, now if I say here, if I say book1 dot, you see, you only have one member here, right? Because we added only one member, right? I added only one member, so you put only one member. Now, when you run it, it says 0 because the total book is 0, isn't it? So far, it's good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, if I want to change this value, of course, I can change it. I can, but how do I access this? So this is variable of book, right? So I'll say book1, this equal to this plus 10. Okay. Now I can say this, or I can delete it, right? I can say plus equal to. Plus equal to does the same thing, right? So now when I print, instead of printing here, if I go and print here, you will get 0 plus 10, which is 10. So you can handle the members of a class like this. All right. Okay. Now, if you see this, okay, this is just one member, and this is called as okay, global member. Now, global member or your class member. What is difference between class and class member? Member, and it is variable. So class member or class variable. So if I call class variable, then there has to be something object variable, isn't it? So what is difference between class variable and let's say object variable, which we have not done so far, but we will add to it. So to understand this, let's say the shape of apple, right? Now, how many types of apples are there? There are different types of apple, right? You have apple which comes from Shimla, which might come from Australia, can come from Kashmir, can come from Washington, can come from Fiji, right? You have so many types of apple. But if you look at the shape of apple, okay, it is probably same, right? Right? Shape of apple is almost same, isn't it? So things which does not change for every object, which is constant for all the object, okay, is your class level. Things which changes with specific to your apple. So if you say that you are eating an apple, then I will not ask you what is the shape of apple. Okay, probably not. I'll ask you the color also. Okay, if you exclude green apple, we'll assume that okay, color is also red. So we will say I will not ask you what is the shape, what is the color, because all the apples will have similar shape and similar color. But what I will ask you is, what is the price of that apple? Now, the price, the cost of that apple changes based on the object that you are holding, isn't it? Object that you are holding. The one that you might have and which I might have, they can be of different type, they can be of different weight, they can be of different price, right? So these values like type, weight, price, okay, these are specific to the apple that you are holding, right? So those are your object level. Those are your object level members. Things which are common for all the members is class level, which is specific to that object is object level. For example, if I define a class called human being or man, let's say. Now, if I define a class called man, then I'm only talking about man, okay? So women are excluded. So I'll talk about man. If I talk about human being as a class, then I'm talking about both man and male and female. Okay? So it becomes both male and female. Now, when I say man, okay, it is class man. Now, if I ask the population of man, okay, how many men are there in the world? That's the population. Now, in that case, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Sachin Tendulkar or Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli. It is common for all the men in the world, right? So the population in this case would be a class level. But if I ask you, what is the name of that man? Now, all men do not have same name, correct? So in that case, I'm talking about a specific person, a specific female, a specific man. So the name, age, okay, would be a specific to that object, which I'm talking about, object level. So name, age, city, okay, will be specific to that man. Okay, but if I talk about population, even gender, let's say, so it is common for all the men, right? So gender, the population it becomes a global variable. Now, if I talk about book here, so can you give me an example of object level member?
Pardon, please, Saurabh.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Can you repeat this question, please?
So in case of this book, okay, book, can you give me one example of object level member? Object level member.
It can be anything, cost of a pen or something.
Cost of the book, right? It could be like title of the book, author of the book, right? So yes, so these are specific to the object. These are specific to the object. Okay, so how do I declare that? So what I will do, I will create a function here. Now, the object level variables cannot be declared here. If I declared something like this is global. This is for class. Global in the sense class level. Okay. When you declare a variable, so total books become a class variable, member of variable. If I declare an object level, I will have to declare a first an object level function. So I will say def input data. So I'm creating input data. Now you see that the moment I created bracket open, automatically PyCharm wrote self keyword here. Okay, so wrote self keyword here. Okay, now what is this? Here, okay, the global way of declaring an object is writing self. Okay, so it's if you follow the global standard, it's easy because whenever you see self, you know that it is a object level thing. But you don't have to have self. We can write anything. I can write my name, right? Now, in this case, I'm saying my name is object level. Now, if I have to declare title, I'll say my name title equal to Python programming. I have to say my name dot author equal to, let's say I put Saurabh here. Okay, so since I have put my name here, so I have to use my name dot title, my name dot author, and this becomes your object variable or member because I have used my name dot. Okay, now book one dot total, I call it I get it. Now if I say book one dot, okay, book one dot, now book one is an object. So now see author and title both are available for us. Okay, so if I try to print this, what will happen?
Swapnil Saurabh will come on.
Error. Book object has no attribute author. Book is an object, right? So did I call this function? No. Author and title are defined inside this. When it is defined inside this, I have to first call this. Only then this will be initialized. Otherwise, this will not be initialized. Isn't it? So to call this, I have to first call book one dot input data. This is a function. This is your object function because it has okay, it has details about object. So now when you run it, you get Saurabh here. What I can do here is I can create something like set data. Okay, and I will create another function here called input data. And in input data, I will add blank here. Now, in this case, if I run it, it will give me answer author equal to blank because I'm calling input data and input author is blank. I have to call set data in order to put the value here. So now what you see on your screen is a class which has one class level variable, okay, and has two object level variables. Sorry, it has two object level variables, but it also has two object level functions. So it has one class level variable, two object level functions, and two object level variables. Very clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, see, so far, now we're talking about three types of variables. One that we've been using all these days. And today we learned two more types. So we have learned three types of variables. One, the normal variable. Second, the class level variable and object level variable. Normal variable, wherever you're declaring, okay, the life of that ends there. So if I declare a variable here called type equal to book, let's say. Now, this variable is inside this. So when I am using this function, this is available. But outside this function, this has no identity. No one knows type outside this function, right? Because you have declared it. And this is what we have seen, right? When you write something in function, the life of that is within that function, right? So I can use this here to say my name dot type or my name dot my type, just to make it look different than this. My name dot my type equal to type. Of course, you can use this variable within this function, but outside, okay, if I say here book one dot, okay, you don't see type. You don't see type because type is used within the it has a scope, right? We discussed about the scope before we talk about functions, right? It has a scope which is used, which is the life, right? So life of that function, life of the type is within this function. Outside this function, nobody knows type. But advantage of using class level variable and object level variable is that there is a life outside the class. You can access, wherever you can access the class, you can access this variable. Okay. So now here I'm setting this variable. It will not, okay. So now when I say book one dot set data, it knows what should be the values here. Now, if I try to print book one author, okay, it knows that it is Saurabh here because it is able to read, okay. So the life or the scope of these variables are within the class. Within object level is within the object, okay. Class level is within the class, okay. So far all good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will leave this class here and we will go back to another program. I'm copying and pasting. Okay. We will use same stuff, but I'm making some changes here. Now, what changes I'm making? I'll write here program 2. Okay. What change I'm making here is I'm going to use self. Okay. Because self is what we generally internationally we use. Okay. So let's put self. So when somebody sees self, it knows that, okay, I'm talking about object. But just to demonstrate you, it does not have to be self. Whatever you write here, same thing you have to write everywhere. But we will prefer our international standard. So it becomes easy, right? If I write my own terminologies, if I write my own stuff, somebody else is reading, they'll have little hard time to understand what I meant, why I did. Now, when you see self, you know that, okay, it is object level, correct?
There is no difference, right? We just
Absolutely no difference, right? So yeah, but we'll follow the international standard, right? It's like I'm telling you, okay, Apurva, from today onwards, I want to call you as A. I told you I'm calling you A. So when I call A, you know that I'm referring you, right? Others may not know, but you know, once if I tell you I want to call you A, and when I'm calling A, you know that I'm referring you. But others will not know. So instead, if I use what is globally known, which is full name, right? Then it's easier for everybody. Okay, so I'm talking to you. If I say A, you will know that I'm talking to you. Others will be like scratching their head. What is he talking about? Right? So we want our program to be, see, not only we want, the program has to be easy to maintain. That means today you write a program, right? But tomorrow somebody else might be working on it. So they should not find it difficult, right? Now, you are maintaining, writing a code, you have done some work, tomorrow you get transferred, you leave the organization, okay? Or, you move to different team or you get promotion, you won't be touching the code again. But somebody who comes in your place should not find it difficult to understand what you have written, right? So that's why we will follow self only.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. So we have created this. Now what I'll do here, okay, in input data, I'm going to create self author. Okay, I'll remove the type. And in set data, okay, and also in input data, I will increase the count of this. Okay. Now I will say total books plus equal to 1. Fine. Now you see, if I write something like this, it looks like very much like your general type of variable, isn't it? It looks like a general type of variable, okay? Not like a class variable. How do I make it look like a class variable? How do I make it look like a class variable? I will put the class name here. If I put the class name, then it means that you're talking to class level variable and it's no longer a general variable. So book dot total books plus equal to 1. That means every time input data is called, every time the input function is called, input data function is called, the counter is increased. Okay. Now here in set data, this function I'm going to pass two variables. I'm going to pass title and author. Okay. So now I'm going to say here title. I'm going to say here author. Okay. So what I've done, I have created a function which takes two input arguments, two parameters, title and author. I'm saying self.title equal to title. This is like a regular variable. So this will not have any life outside this class or function, but this is object level. Okay. Now I'm going to create an object. I'm going to say book2 equal to book. Perfect. Now I'm going to call book2 dot input data, right? So by doing so, what happened? The title became blank, but it has got a title, became blank, author became blank, and total books increased by 1. So if I need to know how many books have been created, I will simply call print book2 dot total books, right? So see, it says, oh, it's running the old program. So it will run P1. So it says 1, right? So I'll say here total books. So it says 1 because we called input data and input data is increasing the count by 1. Now I'll copy these two lines and I'll put it again and again. So I'm calling book2, I'm calling book3. So book3 is another object. I'm calling book 4. So book 4 is another object. So I have created 3 objects, right? We can create any number of objects, right? You can have any number of objects. Okay. So how many apples are there in the world? Infinite number of apples are there, right? But definition is only one. Apple as a function is, apple as a class is only one. But object, there are infinite, right? You can't count. Similarly, here you can create any number of object, but your class will be only one. Okay. So book 2, book 3 input data, book 4 input data. So what happened? Now if I run book2.total books, book 2, right? So where is book 2? Book 2 is here. So if I run it, what do you think the output is going to be?
One only.
One only? No. 3. Now, let's suppose, okay, I create a class called great people. And let's say first I am born, then we'll go by alphabetical order. A is born, then R is born, then S is born. So how many great people are born? 4. If I ask you, or if somebody asks me, how many great people are born? What should my answer be? Even though I'm the first one to be born,
4.
how many great people are there? 4, right? Not 1. I am the, if you ask me what is your number, I'll say I'm the first great person to be born. But if you ask me how many, it is 4, not 1. Class variable is always common. Population, remember? Okay. So because your variable total books is class level, it doesn't matter whether you say book2.total books or you say book 3, book 4, or even class name dot total book. All will give same answer. That's the difference between object level and class level. Class level will have same value no matter which object you call, or directly you call the class name. You can say directly class name book dot total count or total books, or you can call book2 dot book3 dot book4 dot or whatever object name dot. It'll give you same answer. All of them will have same value. Whether they ask me or you or somebody else how many great people are there, answer is going to be 4 only. Now, if I say book2 dot input data, and now I'm going to say book2 dot set data, right? So I will use word set here. Now, when I say set, now you see your set has self, title, and author, right? Now, if I say data, you see self. This is how when we were using append or any of those functions in the classes was shown, right? So it shows that you have to have self, title, and author. 2 required arguments. 2 required arguments. For self, we don't have to give any value, correct? For self, we don't have to give any value. But for title and author, we have to give value. Otherwise, what will happen if you run it? You get error. Missing 2 required positional argument, title and author. 2 required positional argument. These are not default. I have not added equal to something. Okay, if I say equal to, okay, Saurabh, then it's fine. Okay. Now, in this case, you have 1 required argument, which is title, right? So I have to give title. So it doesn't, see, it's not asking you to enter value for self. Self only indicates that function that you are using is object level to tell you to know, okay? Because when you say book name dot, and see, we have not seen the 4th member so far, class level function. We will see it in some time. We have seen class level variable, object level variable, and object level functions. 3 things we are seeing. We have not seen that class level function so far. We will see it after this example. So it can be class level function or object level function. How do you know it's class level or object level? Because it is showing you as self. So you know that, oh, self, that means it's an object level function, right? Which is specific for the object. That's the only indication. I can go and say title as Python programming, and author I can give as Sachin. Okay. Now when you call it, of course, you know, it does not throw error because it has read this value. Now what I will do, I will copy and paste for each of these 3 and 4 as well. I will say machine learning. I will say SQL. Oh, what did I delete? Okay, here I'll say Rohit. Here I'll say Virat, let's say. Or here I will not say anything. I'll let it take default one. Okay. Now you see, I'll copy all this and I'll put it here and I'll say here title. Okay. I will say title. Title and title is too small, right? I'll just copy the same stuff from here and I'll paste it. Oh, not here, here. Now you see, book 2 dot title makes sense because I'm asking, give me the title of book 2. Book 3 dot title makes sense. Book 4 dot title makes sense. But book dot title doesn't make sense. It's like asking what is the name of that great person, or what is the name of the man, or what is the name of the apple. At a class level, you do not know. Title is an object level member. Book has no attribute title. So you cannot ask this. I can ask total books because total books is a class level member, but title is not a class level member. So I cannot say that. It's not possible to say, right? And now you see, all of them have, oh, why is that so? Oh,
अच्छा सबके book 2 में we have written that
yeah,
way.
we
We have
said
to.
book 2. Now it will work, right? So it knows, okay, what value assigned to book 2, which value assigned to book 3, and what is there in book 4. Because we spoke about object level. Because we spoke about object level. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll take. Okay. So we have seen 3 types of members out of 4 possible members, right? We spoke about class variable, object variable, object function. Now we will see the importance of class class function, right? So I told you like functions are called when it is independent, but when it is part of a class, we like to call them method, right? So basically, we're talking about class method, right? So here, if I write def, it becomes an object level function, isn't it? Object level class, or sorry, object level method, correct? So what I will do here, I will put class method. So the moment you write class method before writing def, it indicates that you're talking about class method. So by default, the method, so the function that you write in class is object level. If you want to make it specific to class, you have to say @class method. All right. So you have to say @class method. Now you write,
Saurabh, I think we have a message in the chat.
Thank you.
so the class method we'll do in the next class, okay? We'll end it here for today.